and with understanding, the person who we're listening to appreciates us. We don't just learn to appreciate them. The appreciation goes both ways. We're learning about them and learning to appreciate them, their story, their background, their thoughts, their feelings, and they're appreciating us for taking the time to listen to them because we're showing them that we value them.
Jeff will be back shortly to wrap up today's message. This is Gabriela, still on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. If you've missed any part of today's message, you can hear it again online, as well as the entire archive of Empowered Living at www.talknetworkradio.com or search keyword #Empowered Living. We would like to acknowledge our music partners, Sound Ideas for Corporate to the Max and Kevin MacLeod for Airport Lounge. Any scriptures read during this broadcast are from the New American Standard Version of the Holy Bible. If you would like to learn more about Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, visit www.jeffbyrdcoaching.com. That is JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Do a Facebook search for @CoachingRocks or drop Jeff a line at jeff@jeffbyrdcoaching.com. Again, JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Let Jeff's Coaching Rocks be the building blocks of your empowered success. Now, let's go back to Jeff for the rest of today's message.
So those are some of the benefits of listening. Now I want to give you a few tips for good listening today, because it's one thing just to be present. Just to be present while somebody else is talking does not mean that we are listening. We want to listen with a focus on understanding, and that's number one. We want to make understanding our first priority. We want to make understanding, not just hearing them, not just looking at them, but understanding what they're trying to say. And number two, we want to make sure that they are fully heard and understood. That there's nothing that they're, we want to give them the freedom to bring up anything they want to say and make sure that there's nothing that they're hiding or that they're afraid to bring up. We want to give them that freedom to really be heard. And one of my mentors, John Maxwell, I'm on the John Maxwell team. When John goes in to meet with a new person, he just takes a notepad. And on the top of that notepad, he draws an L. And that's to remind himself to listen. And he'll just ask them questions. Ask them what they want to talk about. Ask them what's on their agenda. Ask them what kind of outcomes they're interested in. Ask them where their team is, how things are going. And he just listens, and he writes notes, and he writes notes, and he writes notes. And then when they're done, he pauses, and he doesn't respond. He then asks them, is there anything else? Because maybe some new things, some new thoughts came to their mind as they were talking that they need to share. So giving the person ample opportunity to say whatever they need to say. Okay, number three, listen between the lines for other issues to bring up. And this, you got to kind of use some intuition here to listen between the lines. What are they really saying? What's the real problem? So often the problem that they think is the problem is not the problem. I once had a conversation with a woman, and back during the Bush era, and she just really didn't like George W. Bush, and she was going on and on about him and all this oil in the Middle East, and she just hated his policies, and the conversation was turning kind of south. We were with a group of people, and it was getting very negative and political, and so I thought, something's going on here. So I just kind of dropped out of the conversation for a minute to think, and it occurred to me, she doesn't really care about oil in the Middle East. She's got another issue. There's something personal. Nobody cares this much and is this passionate about something that doesn't pertain to them. There's something personal. And so I stopped and I asked her when there was a break in the conversation, I said, let me ask you this. Has George Bush ever done anything that's impacted you personally? And she stopped and she said, yes. She was from another country and married to a guy from a different country yet. And that guy had an affair. And she wanted to get divorced. But she couldn't stay here unless she got her green card before they got divorced. And the policies that George Bush had put into place after 9/11 regarding foreigners made it very, very difficult and a very time consuming process for her to get her green card. And she had been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for her green card so she could leave this man. And that was the real issue. It had nothing to do with oil in the Middle East. So if something doesn't seem right, just kind of step back and think about it and listen a little more and use that intuition to kind of see if, hey, maybe there's a different issue other than the issue they're talking about. And if you can detect it and bring it up like happened in that situation, then you can see what's really going on and you can maybe bring some closure and get some resolution for the person. At least you can understand. Okay, number 4, ask questions for clarity. If you're not sure, if there's something else that seems amiss, keep asking questions until you get to what's really going on. A friend of mine that I used to work for, she used to have a saying that said, we're always 3 questions from the truth. On any situation, where we give our version of it, but it's not quite the whole story. We're always 3 questions away from getting the whole story and understanding what's really going on. Okay, so ask questions for clarity. Number 5, repeat what you think you heard to make sure you are hearing what they want to convey. So we might think we're hearing them very, very clearly and understanding the issues. And then when we give it back to them and say, no, let me make sure I'm hearing you right. And then you give back to them what you think they said, they'll confirm, yeah, you got that right. Or no, that's not exactly what I meant. Let me try that again. And still you're showing that you value them. Number 6, affirm their feelings no matter what they are. Like I said before, every feeling is legitimate. Honor their feelings no matter what they are. And then accept it, let them express them, and then move on from that place of accepting what they're feeling at the moment, and then think into it more to figure out what the best course of action is or the best way to understand. And lastly, number 7, suggest options for resolution of issues. Okay, just like I mentioned with the woman from the State Department. Suggest options. Well, what about this? Or what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then ask them, what do you think? Don't shove it down their throat like the people in other countries were afraid my friend from the State Department was going to do. Ask them, what do you think? Let's discuss these options. Maybe another option will come up in the course of the conversation, and then listen to their response. So this practice may not solve every problem in the world. I doubt it will. But if we do this as consistently and regularly as we can, valuing people and taking the time to listen and go through these steps, I can't help but believe that there are numerous conflicts on all sorts of levels, large and small, that will be resolved. I find this all the time. One of my favorite exercises to do when I work with teams is to play the leadership game. That's something I'm able to do through the John Maxwell team. And one of the cards in the leadership game asks, what group of people are not being heard and need to be listened to more thoroughly? And then we pair them up in pairs and they discuss that, and then we come back and share our answers. And when we do that, invariably there's some group of people who needs to be heard better. So I hope that you'll take these things to heart, that you'll think about them, listen to them, and apply them as we go out. Who knows if maybe some of these tragedies of one person, especially a person in a leadership role, had taken the time to really hear them, listen to them with understanding, and then work towards some solutions together if maybe some of these tragedies could not have been averted. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, I'm Jeff Byrd with Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and this is Empowered Living. See you next time. God bless you.